Given a timely boost in popularity by a certain Robert Downey Jr. back in 2008, Iron Man is now the go-to hero for so many fans. Of course, with a history dating back over 80 years, there have been plentiful low points in terms of Tony Stark's story. It's not always been a smooth ride for old Shellhead. So with this in mind, I'm Dan from What Culture, and these are 10 Iron Man fates worse than death. Number 10. Having to end Happy Hogan's life. Civil War. 2006's Civil War arc was a shit show for all involved. Regardless of which side the heroes and villains of this tale stood on, nobody came out of this situation as a true winner. For Tony Stark though, he came off particularly bad by the time Civil War rolled to a close. If being framed by many as the real villain of the story wasn't bad enough, one fate that Tony Stark had to live with during Civil War was being the person responsible for ending the life of Happy Hogan. Tony's long-standing buddy, Happy, ended up on life support after he and Pepper Potts were ambushed by the Spy Master during a date. After this rogue threatened to kill the two lovebirds, Hogan saw red and lashed out at Spy Master, resulting in the pair plummeting several stories from a restaurant window. With Happy left in a coma as a result, Civil War shows a distraught Pepper and Tony at Hogan's bedside. She pleads with Iron Man to use his extremis tech to turn off Hogan's life support. And after struggling with this notion, Tony finally gives in and puts his longtime friend out of his misery. Number 9. Destroyed by alcoholism. Demon in a bottle. It's no secret that Tony Stark has had his problems with alcohol. The first major time this issue reared its ugly head was in 1979's Demon in a Bottle story arc. After Iron Man's armor shoots and kills a government ambassador, Stark pleads that his tech malfunctioned and that he didn't intend to fire off the shot. He was asked to step down from the Avengers as a result of this. And then, that's when Tony hits the bottle in order to deal with the whole situation. Even after Stark finds out that Justin Hammer had tampered with the Iron Man suit to make it malfunction, he still carries on drinking hard, to the point that his angry, drunken behaviour causes his butler Jarvis to quit. Number 8. Realising you're capable of being the bad guy. The Golden Child. In the third edition of the Marvel team-up run of the 2000s, dubbed The Golden Child, a crazed version of Doctor Doom runs rampant, easily dispatching of a who's who of Marvel Comics' greatest heroes. The catch here is that the vicious villain is not Victor Von Doom. Instead, it's actually an alt-world Tony Stark, who is posing as a menace underneath the metal mask. For the real Tony, he struggles massively with the concept that he could feasibly become an evil tyrant. In fact, this villainous rogue dubs himself the Iron Maniac, as he warns our heroes of the impending Titanous war that will turn the world on its head. Of course, the kicker here, mind, is that it was all for nothing. For whatever reason, Marvel Comics skewed away from making the Titanous war a major deal, and the event would randomly just be wrapped up in just 3 issues. That ended with this version of Iron Man just taking his own life. Number 7. Embracing being the bad guy. Axis. In the Axis event of 2014, an inversion spell by Scarlet Witch and Doctor Doom caused our usual Marvel heroes to become villains, and our usual Marvel villains to become heroes. While Axis concluded with the majority of these personalities being reverted back to normal, Iron Man underhandedly worked out a way to remain villainous. This end result isn't merely Tony playing up his more arrogant, egotistical side, but instead, Stark goes full bad guy in the aftermath of Axis. Complete with a shiny new white armor, the superior Iron Man essentially turns San Francisco into a city of drug addicts, giving everyone the chance to experience his extremis for free via a mobile app. Not only do the San Fran citizens experience excruciating withdrawal symptoms when this wears off, Tony then charges them $100 a day to get their next extremis fix. Iron Man also purposely keeps it a secret that the main 616 Earth will soon be under a full-scale attack from an alternate world. In fact, the only way the Armored Avenger ends his villainous ways is thanks to the Marvel brand being rebooted in 2015 with the all-new, all-different relaunch. Number 6. The Guilt of Cap's Death. The Death of Captain America. Despite Iron Man and Captain America's polar opposite views being the crux of Civil War, Tony Stark still felt immense guilt upon Steve Rogers being killed off shortly after the events of that 2006 tale. Once Civil War ended, Rogers is one of the many taken into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, and it's there that he's killed by the double whammy of a sniper shot from the nefarious Crossbones and a close-range pistol shot from a brainwashed Sharon Carter. Distraught over Steve's death, Tony immediately sets about hunting down the people responsible for the murder of the first Avenger. Tony felt immense guilt, maybe rightly so, but to make things worse for Stark, he also has Bucky Barnes on his tail, wanting vengeance, as the Winter Soldier blames Iron Man for Rogers' death. Number 5. Becoming a member of the Undead, Marvel Zombies. When a visitor from an unknown dimension brings a flesh-craving virus to this alt-Earth, the Avengers, X-Men and various other familiar faces are soon infected, still retaining their usual powers and elements of their personalities. These hungry heroes have a taste for human flesh. It's the retention of that personality element that makes this fate all the more unbearable for Iron Man and the rest of Earth's mightiest heroes, as they are constantly having to battle the urge to find fresh meat. Clearly this urge is too much for even the most super of superheroes to resist, and thus Stark is amongst those unable to win out in this fight, with his animalistic want for blood. While this undead fate is a grim one, the one sliver of a silver lining for Iron Man is that he would eventually be put out of his misery in Marvel Zombies 2. There, with the zombified heroes starting to come to their senses, a pissed off Hulk finally stamps right through the chest of Zombie Stark. Number 4. Knowing you unleashed Ultron, Avengers Age of Ultron. In the comic book realm, Ultron is created by Hank Pym, but in the MCU, Ultron came to be thanks to the combined efforts of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. Of course, much like in the comics, Ultron would soon become way smarter than anyone could imagine. Created to be Earth's ultimate defense system, this android soon realizes that humans are the greatest threat to the planet, and thus it looks to destroy mankind. All of this would lead to the events of Sokovia, which in turn led to the events of Captain America Civil War, which then led to the breakup of the Avengers. And for Tony Stark, all of this bloodshed was very much on his hands, as he was responsible for unleashing the murderous, maniacal Ultron onto the world. Number 3. Breaking your best friend, War Machine. In Iron Man number 169, Tony first handed over the variable threat response battlesuit to his longtime pal James Rhodes. Then, skipping ahead, the Armored Avenger faked his own death in order for Rhodey to run both Stark Enterprises and to take on the heroic mantle of War Machine. In reality, Tony had placed himself in suspended animation and manipulated his friends into thinking that he'd perished. So angry at the later reveal of all this, Rhodes severed his ties with Stark and ventured out on his own under the aforementioned War Machine guise. Number 2. Facing Smart Hulk's wrath, Original Sin. It's bad enough having to face the wrath of the Hulk at the best of times, but even worse for Iron Man, the Original Sin story saw Tony Stark go up against an angry, bloodlusting, intelligent version of the Green Goliath. When the Original Sin Hulk vs Iron Man 4-issue tale opens up, we find Stark getting beaten and brutalized by the Hulk. Even in a new Hulkbuster suit, Tony is no match for his Avengers cohort. Via a flashback, it's explained that Stark had previously charged General Ross $500,000 per day, plus 2 bottles of vintage whiskey, to amp up the gamma bomb that eventually led to the creation of the Hulk. It's Bruce finding this out for himself that sets him in a rage and on the hunt for the Iron Man. The relentlessness, the brutality and the sheer viciousness of the Hulk here is something that clearly has Tony Stark wishing for his death to come and for it to come swift. And number 1, wiping your own mind, World's Most Wanted. In the fallout of the Civil War and the Secret Invasion storylines, Tony Stark is removed by the US government as the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. due to his Stark Tech equipment being infiltrated by the Skrulls. Following this, it's the nefarious Norman Osborn who is tasked with overseeing S.H.I.E.L.D., with Norman presenting himself as a reformed character who is all about fighting the good fight. Of course, Norman Osborn will forever be Norman Osborn, and thus, this is all merely a power play from the Green Goblin, designed to get himself access to the vast records held as part of Civil War's Registration Act. On that front, access to such records would allow Osborn to know the secret identity of every superhero and every supervillain, in addition to offering up all kinds of technological secrets. Realizing this, Iron Man executes a virus designed to destroy the information. While that does indeed work, there is one other copy of these details, that being the one in Stark's mind. With Norman hunting him down, Tony decides that he has to wipe his own memory. In attempting to do this, the Armored Avenger inflicts brain damage on himself in order to successfully delete this key information from his mind. But the actions of Iron Man here left Tony in a vegetative state and requiring intensive tech care just to stay alive. And that's our list. You can check out some other What Culture videos on screen now. For now though, I've been Dan and I'll catch you in the next one.